I speak to you as you rise into this day, carrying strength you did not create and standing on a foundation you did not build. Before you face resistance, remember where your power comes from. I am not distant from your battles, nor unaware of the weight you carry. I am your strength when you feel weak, your rock when everything shifts beneath you, and your deliverer when the way forward feels blocked. Do not measure this day by your own ability. Measure it by my faithfulness. Stand still for a moment and let this truth settle into you. You are supported, defended, and upheld by me. When you feel weak, it is not a sign of failure. Weakness is not your enemy. It is the place where my strength becomes most visible. I know how often you try to hide weakness, to push through it, to pretend it is not there. You believe strength means self-sufficiency, endurance without rest, courage without fear. But true strength begins when you stop pretending and allow me to sustain you. I see the moments when your energy runs low, when motivation fades, when the effort required to keep going feels heavier than you expected. These moments are not accidents. They reveal the limits of your own power, so you can discover the reliability of mine. My strength does not fluctuate with your emotions. It does not weaken when circumstances intensify. It remains constant, available, and sufficient. You are not strong because you never struggle. You are strong because you continue to trust me within the struggle. Strength is not the absence of difficulty. It is perseverance rooted in dependence. When you lean into me instead of collapsing inward, your weakness becomes a doorway rather than a dead end. I know how exhausting it feels to carry responsibility without relief. You shoulder expectations, obligations, and concerns that seem endless. You wake up tired and go to bed tired, wondering how long you can keep going. My strength meets you there. I do not add pressure. I remove it. I do not demand more. I supply what is needed. When you stop drawing strength from comparison, approval, or control, you discover a deeper reservoir. Comparison drains you. Approval traps you. Control exhausts you. My strength frees you. It does not require performance. It responds to trust. I see how fear weakens resolve. Fear whispers that you are not enough, that you will fail, that the cost is too high. Fear feeds on isolation. My strength restores courage by restoring connection. You are not alone in what you face. I stand with you, and my presence strengthens your heart before your circumstances change. You often believe you must feel strong to act, but strength often follows obedience rather than precedes it. When you take the next faithful step, even with trembling, my strength rises to meet you. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is movement despite it. I know how easily discouragement erodes strength. Discouragement tells you that effort is pointless, that progress is too slow, that change will never come. But my strength renews endurance. Endurance does not rush outcomes. It sustains faithfulness. What you continue to do in trust matters deeply. My strength also restores clarity. Weakness can cloud judgment. Fatigue distorts perspective. When you rest in me, confusion settles. You see more clearly. You choose more wisely. Strength is not only physical or emotional, it is mental and spiritual alignment. I see how strength grows quietly over time. It is built through repeated trust, daily obedience, and honest prayer. You do not notice it forming, but one day you realize you are standing where you once would have fallen. This growth is not self-made. It is sustained by me. When you feel overwhelmed, do not interpret that feeling as defeat. Overwhelm often signals that you are carrying more than you were meant to carry alone. Release what is not yours. I do not expect you to manage everything. I invite you to trust me with what exceeds you. My strength also guards you against burnout. Burnout comes from striving without surrender. When you try to be strong without me, exhaustion follows. When you draw from me, effort becomes sustainable. Rest becomes possible even in busy seasons. I know how weakness tempts you to withdraw. You isolate to avoid burdening others or revealing need. But isolation drains strength further. My strength reconnects you. It reminds you that you were not designed to walk alone. Strength in me also brings humility. Humility is not self-doubt, it is accurate dependence. When you acknowledge your need, you open yourself to supply. Pride resists help. Humility receives it. I see how strength reshapes your response to adversity. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond steadily. Instead of collapsing under pressure, you endure. This endurance is not stubbornness. It is trust expressed over time. My strength also stabilizes emotions. You still feel deeply, but emotions no longer control your actions. You grieve without despair. You rejoice without excess. Stability grows where strength is anchored in me. I know how weakness makes you question your calling. You wonder if you are capable, if you are qualified, if you should continue. My strength does not depend on your confidence. It fulfills purpose through willingness. Availability matters more than ability. Strength in me also sharpens discernment. You recognize what drains you unnecessarily. You learn to say no. Boundaries protect strength. You are not required to meet every demand. I see how my strength sustains you in waiting. Waiting feels passive, but it requires great strength. You resist rushing ahead. You trust timing. You remain faithful without immediate reward. This patience is strength refined. When you feel pressed from all sides, remember this: pressure does not crush what is anchored. I am your anchor. Storms reveal foundations. Those rooted in me remain standing. My strength also renews joy. Joy fades when strength is depleted. When you rest in me, joy returns quietly. It does not shout, it sustains. I know how strength grows through gratitude. Gratitude shifts focus from lack to provision. When you remember what I have already done, strength rises again. Strength in me also empowers forgiveness. Forgiveness requires strength beyond emotion. I supply it. You release bitterness without being consumed by it. I see how my strength steadies your faith. Faith is not maintained by constant certainty, but by consistent trust. Strength supports trust when certainty wavers. My strength also protects your heart from despair. Despair convinces you that weakness is permanent. But weakness is a moment. My strength endures. I know how strength changes how you face the future. You no longer dread what comes next. You trust guidance. You move forward without panic. Strength in me also fuels courage to speak truth. You speak calmly without aggression. You stand firm without hostility. Courage rooted in strength is steady. I see how my strength transforms suffering. Suffering does not destroy you when strength sustains you. It refines you. It deepens compassion. It clarifies purpose. My strength is not loud. It is reliable. My strength is not temporary. It is constant. My strength does not depend on circumstance. It transcends it. And as you move into this day, carrying responsibilities, facing challenges, and stepping into moments you cannot predict, draw your strength from me again and again, allowing my power to sustain your weakness, my presence to steady your heart, and my faithfulness to carry you forward with courage, endurance, and quiet confidence rooted not in what you can do, but in who I am as your strength, now and always. When everything around you feels unstable, I remain unmoved. I am not shaken by the chaos that unsettles you, nor threatened by the changes that unsettle your footing. You look for something solid to stand on when circumstances shift, relationships falter, plans collapse, or certainty disappears. I tell you this now, I am your rock. Not a temporary shelter, not a fragile support, but an unshakable foundation that does not crack under pressure or erode with time. Life feels unstable because much of what surrounds you is meant to change. Seasons shift, people grow or drift, opportunities rise and fall, even your own emotions fluctuate. When you build your sense of safety on what is temporary, instability becomes constant. But when you stand on me, instability does not define you. You are held steady even when everything else moves. I know how unsettling it feels when familiar ground disappears. What once felt secure no longer does. What you trusted begins to fail. In these moments, fear whispers that you are exposed, that you are falling, that you must scramble to regain control. But control is not stability. I am. You do not need to brace yourself against every change when you are anchored in me. I am your rock because I do not shift with opinion, circumstance, or time. I am not altered by success or diminished by failure. I am not strengthened by praise or weakened by rejection. When you stand on me, your footing is not determined by what happens to you, but by who holds you. I see how instability often leads you to overcompensate. You try to manage outcomes, anticipate every risk, and prepare for every possible loss. This constant vigilance exhausts you. It convinces you that safety depends on effort rather than trust. I invite you to rest your weight on me, instead of carrying it all yourself. When you stand on me, you do not deny reality. You face it with confidence. You acknowledge uncertainty without being ruled by it. You respond rather than react. Stability does not mean nothing shakes around you. It means nothing shakes within you beyond repair. I know how emotional instability unsettles you. Feelings rise and fall without warning. One moment you feel strong, the next overwhelmed. When emotions become your foundation, you feel constantly off balance. I am your rock by anchoring you beneath emotion. Feelings matter, but they are not meant to lead. Truth steadies what emotion stirs. I am your rock when fear threatens to knock you off balance. Fear magnifies threat and minimizes strength. It convinces you that danger is closer than it is, and that you are weaker than you are. When you stand on me, fear loses authority. It may speak, but it does not decide. I see how instability enters through uncertainty about identity. When you are unsure who you are, every opinion feels powerful. Every criticism destabilizes you. Every comparison weakens you. I am your rock by anchoring your identity in me. When you know who you are in me, external voices lose control. I am your rock in seasons of loss. Loss removes what once supported you. It creates gaps where certainty once lived. Grief makes the ground feel uneven. I do not rush you through grief, but I hold you steady within it. You do not fall apart because you are held together. I know how instability tempts you to compromise. You bend truth to preserve peace. You lower standards to avoid conflict. You abandon conviction to feel safe. But compromise weakens foundations. I am your rock by strengthening resolve. When you stand on truth, you remain steady even when pressure increases. I am your rock when plans fail. You invest time, effort, and hope into a direction that suddenly closes. Disappointment shakes confidence. You question your judgment. I steady you by reminding you that closed doors do not equal lost purpose. Your foundation is not your plan. It is me. I see how instability grows when trust is broken. Betrayal makes you cautious. You hesitate to rely on anyone again. I am your rock by restoring trust at its source. Human trust may fail, but my faithfulness does not. When you anchor in me, Broken trust does not destroy your ability to hope. I am your rock when circumstances change faster than you can adapt. The pace of life overwhelms you. You feel behind, unprepared, exposed. I do not demand that you keep up with everything. I invite you to stay rooted. Roots allow growth without collapse. I know how instability affects decision-making. You hesitate, second-guess, or rush impulsively. Stability clarifies choices. When you stand on me, you choose from truth rather than fear. You act with wisdom rather than urgency. I am your rock when culture shifts. Values change. What was once honored is questioned. What was once clear becomes blurred. I do not change with culture. When you stand on me, you remain grounded while the world redefines itself. I see how instability makes you anxious about the future. You worry about what might happen, what could go wrong, what you might lose. Anxiety pulls you forward into imagined danger. I anchor you in the present. Today is where you stand. I hold tomorrow. I am your rock when your strength feels inconsistent. Some days you feel capable. Other days you feel fragile. My stability does not depend on your consistency. It holds you even when you feel unsteady. I know how instability enters through unresolved conflict. Tension disrupts peace. Unspoken issues create internal pressure. I am your rock by guiding you toward truth and reconciliation. Peace grows where integrity is restored. I am your rock when success threatens to destabilize you. Success can be as unsettling as failure. It brings expectation, pressure, and temptation. I ground you in humility so success does not pull you off balance. I see how instability grows when you compare your life to others. Comparison distorts perception. It makes you feel behind or superior, neither of which brings peace. I am your rock by reminding you that your path is guided, not random. I am your rock in moments of silence. Silence can feel empty, uncertain, or threatening. You wonder if you are alone or overlooked. I am present even when you cannot feel me. Silence does not mean absence. It means stillness where stability deepens. I know how instability shows up in spiritual doubt. Questions arise. Confidence wavers. You fear that doubt means collapse. I am your rock by holding you through questions. Doubt does not destroy faith when trust remains. I am your rock when responsibilities pile up. The weight feels unbearable. You fear dropping something important. I hold what you cannot. Stability returns when you release what exceeds you. I see how instability tempts you to numb yourself. Distraction, busyness, or escape promise relief. But numbness removes awareness, not danger. I am your rock by offering presence, not escape. I am your rock when life feels unfair. Injustice shakes your sense of order. You question meaning. I ground you in truth that transcends fairness. Justice is not absent. It is delayed but certain. I know how instability creeps in through neglect of rest. Fatigue makes everything feel worse. Problems feel larger. Solutions feel distant. I am your rock by calling you to pause. Rest restores balance. I am your rock when you feel pressured to have all the answers. You are not required to know everything. You are required to trust me. Trust stabilizes more than certainty ever could. I see how instability enters through fear of failure. Failure feels like collapse. I am your rock by reminding you that failure is not the end. You stand again because I remain beneath you. I am your rock when change feels forced upon you. You resist what you did not choose. I steady you by shaping resilience. You adapt without losing yourself. I know how instability shows up in conflict between desire and truth. Desire pulls one way, truth another. This tension shakes the heart. I am your rock by aligning desire with what is good. I am your rock when life feels loud. Noise overwhelms clarity. Opinions compete. Pressure mounts. I ground you in stillness where truth is heard. I see how instability can harden you. You guard yourself. You withdraw emotionally. I am your rock by softening what fear tries to harden. Softness anchored in truth is strength. I am your rock when you are tempted to give up. Weariness whispers that effort is pointless. I steady you by renewing hope. Hope anchored in me does not collapse. I know how instability affects faith when prayers seem unanswered. Delay feels like absence. I am your rock by reminding you that timing does not cancel faithfulness. I am your rock when you feel misunderstood. Misinterpretation shakes confidence. I anchor you in truth beyond perception. I see how instability can make you impatient. You want resolution now. I ground you in endurance. Endurance builds strength that lasts. I am your rock when the path ahead is unclear. You take the next step without seeing the full way. I steady you step by step. I am your rock when everything else feels uncertain, shifting, or fragile. You are not held together by circumstance. You are held by me. And as you move through this day, facing changes you cannot control, decisions you must make, and uncertainties you cannot resolve, stand firmly on this truth. I am your unshakable rock, the foundation beneath your feet, the stability within your heart, the constant that does not move, does not fail, and does not weaken, holding you steady through every storm, every change, and every challenge as you walk forward grounded, secure, and upheld by my strength. When you feel surrounded, trapped, or overwhelmed, I want you to know this before anything else. I am your deliverer. Deliverance is not always loud, immediate, or dramatic, but it is always intentional. I do not overlook the battles you face, and I do not minimize the weight of what presses against you. I see the forces that rise against you, both visible and unseen, and I act with purpose, timing, and power that exceeds what you can imagine. You often think of deliverance as escape, as sudden removal from difficulty. Sometimes I do deliver that way, but many times deliverance begins long before you realize you are in danger. It begins with restraint, with redirection, with strength you did not know you had, with endurance that carries you through instead of around. Deliverance is not only rescue from something, it is preservation within it. I know how overwhelming battles feel when they come from multiple directions at once. Problems stack on problems. Pressure compounds. You feel as though there is no space to breathe, no clear path forward. In those moments, it seems as if defeat is inevitable. But what you cannot see is that I am already working beyond the edges of your awareness, weakening what threatens you, limiting its reach, and preparing the way out. You are not weak because you feel overwhelmed. Overwhelm simply means you have reached the edge of your own strength. That edge is where my deliverance becomes visible. I do not wait for you to be strong enough. I move when you can no longer carry the weight alone. I know how battles can exhaust your mind before they ever reach your body. You replay conversations, imagine outcomes, anticipate loss, and prepare for worst-case scenarios. This mental strain wears you down. I deliver you first by restoring perspective. When you see through my eyes, what felt impossible begins to shift. The battle does not disappear, but it no longer defines you. Deliverance does not mean the absence of struggle. It means the presence of my power within it. I strengthen you where you are rather than always removing what surrounds you. Strength is a form of deliverance. Endurance is a form of deliverance. Wisdom is a form of deliverance. I know how trapped you can feel by circumstances you did not choose, choices made by others, systems you cannot control, situations that feel unfair. You wonder how you ended up here and how you will ever get out. I am not limited by what you cannot change. I work within constraints and beyond them. What looks sealed shut to you is never sealed to me. I deliver you from enemies you can name and from those you cannot. Some battles are external, opposition, conflict, injustice. Others are internal, fear, shame, despair, guilt. I deliver you from both. You are not meant to fight inward battles alone. I dismantle lies, restore truth, and replace condemnation with clarity. I know how overwhelming it feels when the battle is long. You expected resolution by now. You prayed. You waited. You hoped. Delay makes you question whether deliverance is coming at all. But delay is not denial. Timing is not neglect. I am never late. I am precise. I deliver you by teaching you to stand firm rather than collapse. Collapse would satisfy fear. Standing confuses it. When you remain rooted in trust despite pressure, the battle begins to lose its hold. Resistance grounded in faith weakens opposition over time. You often believe deliverance must look impressive to be real, but many of my greatest deliverances are quiet. A decision you did not make. A door that did not open. A relationship that faded. A habit that lost its grip. These moments matter more than you realize. I know how battles distort your sense of self. You begin to define yourself by what you are fighting. You see yourself as struggling, failing, or barely surviving. I deliver you by restoring identity. You are not your battle. You are mine. Deliverance also comes through truth spoken at the right time. A word that reframes everything. A realization that shifts direction. A conviction that leads to change. Truth is a powerful weapon. It dismantles what lies built. I know how overwhelming it feels when battles attack your hope. Hope is often the first casualty of prolonged struggle. When hope fades, endurance weakens. I deliver you by rekindling hope slowly, steadily, realistically. Hope rooted in me does not collapse when circumstances resist change. I deliver you from the pressure to fight every battle. Not every conflict requires engagement. Some require distance. Some require patience. Some require silence. Wisdom is deliverance from unnecessary warfare. I know how exhausting it is to defend yourself constantly. To explain, justify, prove. I deliver you by taking up your defense. When you stop fighting to protect your image, I protect your heart. Deliverance also comes through forgiveness. Unforgiveness binds you to the battle long after it should end. Forgiveness releases you without excusing harm. It is not weakness. It is freedom. I know how battles can make you reactive. You speak quickly. You decide impulsively. You act out of fear. I deliver you by slowing you down. Calm returns. Clarity follows. Peace steadies your responses. I deliver you from cycles that feel impossible to break. Patterns of fear. Patterns of failure. Patterns of compromise. These cycles do not define your future. I interrupt them through truth, accountability, and grace. I know how overwhelming it feels when the battle is spiritual and unseen. You sense resistance but cannot name it. You feel heaviness without explanation. I am not unaware of these battles. I deliver you by strengthening your spirit, guarding your mind, and surrounding you with my presence. I deliver you by teaching you when to fight and when to rest. Rest is not surrender. It is strategy. A rested soul discerns more clearly. Fatigue clouds judgment. I know how battles can isolate you. You withdraw. You stop sharing. You carry everything alone. I deliver you by restoring connection. You were not meant to endure alone. Deliverance also comes through obedience in small things. Small acts of faith dismantle large threats over time. Consistency weakens opposition more than dramatic gestures. I know how overwhelming it feels when the battle affects those you love. You worry not only for yourself but for others. I deliver you by extending my care beyond you. You do not carry their protection alone. I deliver you from fear of loss. Fear convinces you that you have too much to lose to trust me. But what you lose through fear is often greater than what you risk through trust. I know how battles challenge your faith. You wonder if trust is worth it, if obedience matters, if prayer works. I deliver you by sustaining faith even when certainty fades. Faith is not certainty. It is commitment. Deliverance does not always change the battlefield immediately, but it always changes your position within it. You move from victim to participant, from panic to steadiness, from despair to resolve. I deliver you by reminding you of past victories. Memory strengthens courage. What I have done before, I can do again. I know how overwhelming it feels when the battle threatens your future. You fear long-term damage. I deliver you by redeeming what was threatened. Loss is not final. Damage is not permanent. I deliver you by reshaping how you define victory. Victory is not always the absence of conflict. Sometimes it is remaining faithful within it. I know how battles can harden your heart. You grow guarded. You close off emotionally. I deliver you by softening what fear tries to harden. Softness rooted in strength is powerful. I deliver you by restoring joy. Joy is not denial of struggle. It is resistance against despair. Joy weakens darkness. I know how overwhelming it feels when the battle seems personal. When it targets your weaknesses. When it exploits your fears. I deliver you by strengthening what is vulnerable. Deliverance also comes through surrender. Surrender is not defeat. It is release of what you were never meant to control. When you surrender, I act. I know how overwhelming it feels when you cannot see how the battle will end. You want closure. You want certainty. I deliver you by guiding you step by step, rather than revealing everything at once. I deliver you from the belief that you must win every battle to be safe. Safety comes from me, not from constant victory. I know how battles test patience. You want resolution now. I deliver you by cultivating endurance. Endurance keeps you standing until the battle loses momentum. I deliver you from the lies spoken over you in the heat of struggle. Lies about your worth. Lies about your future. Lies about my absence. Truth restores clarity. I know how overwhelming it feels when the battle is relentless. One wave after another. No pause. I deliver you by becoming your shelter between waves. Deliverance does not mean the absence of scars. It means scars that testify to survival, growth, and faithfulness. I deliver you not because you are strong enough, but because I am. I deliver you not because you deserve it, but because I am faithful. I deliver you not according to your timing, but according to what will truly restore you. I deliver you because your life is not finished, your purpose is not canceled, and your future is not determined by this battle. And as you move forward into this day, facing pressures you did not choose and battles you cannot fully control, remember this truth. I am your deliverer, the one who rescues, restores, and redeems, the one who breaks chains seen and unseen, who lifts you from what would overwhelm you, and who carries you through every struggle with power, wisdom, and faithfulness that does not fail, guiding you onward with courage, hope, and confidence rooted in my unfailing deliverance.